Welcome to the Real South Africa Travel and Tourism.
I am Dr. Natasha Blanton.
And I'm Mark Blanton and the owners. And we have amazing packages coming to Johannesburg. Everything we do is 5-star. Everything is private. And what else, Tasha?
Everything we do is exclusive and made just for you.
So all I can say is go to our website, therealsouthafrica.com. We'll see you here.
Make sure you pick up my 2 books that's in Amazon right now. The first one is Passive-Aggressive Racism and the System of White Supremacy. And I talk about in that particular book how the system of white supremacy really runs on our daily lives here in America. In our latest book, 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind, we go through those steps to try to deprogram you from the system of white supremacy. Make sure you can pick up those books on Amazon.com.
Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
At African Diaspora News Channel, we cover stories that don't receive mainstream attention, and we serve as the voice to the global Black community. We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media, connecting the African diaspora one story at a time.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're so pleased that you have joined us today for another live broadcast. Yes, 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 beloved. I would like to encourage you to be sure to give us a big thumbs up, and share. Would you do that? Now, family, y'all know that we got the hookup with the streets. So my people from Chicago. How many of y'all saw some days back my broadcast right here on the African Diaspora News Channel, where we had the receipts early on, where we discussed this breaking news that Chicago, Chi-Town's mayor, Mr. Brandon Johnson, received a congressional letter. How many of y'all know we read y'all the direct congressional letter here because we had this, we had the direct letter. Talk back to me, somebody. So we hurry up and put that out a day or so after I got it because I couldn't wait to get to the family so I could share the news. Yes, because I knew the mainstream media was going to try to eat it up real fast around the same time. Anyway, family, how many of y'all know that once Mr. Brandon Johnson of Chicago received that letter from Congress, that they wanted him to inform him that not only was he under they want to inquire and start an investigation, but they invited him, family, to come and testify before this particular committee, right? How many of y'all know that I read you a good part of the multi-page letter? I think it was about 4 pages. Y'all remember that? If you haven't, go watch it. You don't want to miss it. It gives great context to what I'm saying to you today. Well, there were 4 specific sections of that letter that, family, might turn out to be even more dangerous than the ICE immigration obstructionist investigation that they're carrying on. Now, mind you, one of the impetuses, the big impetus behind why they're conducting this in the first place is because y'all's mayor's office is really standing in the way of the federal government doing their job to remove illegal criminals out of Black, in particular, neighborhoods. Talk Black to me, all kind of neighborhoods, but I'm talking about my FBA, Foundation of Black American People in particular. Now, how many of you all know that foundational Black Americans in Chicago for a long time now are the ones that have been giving their government the most pushback about this, right? Why? Because they decided to pack Black neighborhoods with folks that committed crimes to get here, criminals. Yes? How many of you all know it was the Black Chicagoans that called out the fact that some of the folks in the neighborhood, because we didn't know who they are, where they were coming from, that there were concerns about diseases coming into the country. And we found out that different ailments started to take hold because of this. How many of y'all remember our coverage that we've been doing? We've been talking about Chicago a lot because it's a lot to talk about. Yes. Well, family, we discussed that, and then we found out that it appeared to be evidence to where certain Chicago forces, some of the officials there, appeared to have covered up knowledge to the public that they were actually hiding some of the diseases or ailments that was believed to be trafficked in by these illegals. Yes? How many of you all know a lot of the local city council assembly people, some of the one they were working against Foundation of Black Americans and allowing some of them folks to come into their neighborhoods and sticking them in their schools and around their children and all that stuff, right? How many of y'all know it was only about maybe one or two of the local city council people there that pushed back? And I did a broadcast on it here. Y'all remember the brother, the politician in Chicago? He was one of the few that was pushing back. And at first, if you didn't really look at what he said, you would have thought he was for illegal immigration, right? One of the brothers there said that we need to welcome the immigrants, but he said we need to welcome them to the health department. Let me hit the gavel on that. I was screaming and hollering, and I'm still screaming and hollering about it. He said we should welcome the unlawful immigrants. He said welcome them to the health department. Why did he say that? Because even he was nervous and concerned about things that might be trafficked into the community and what that would mean, right? They have a responsibility to keep the citizens healthy. But family, I'm going on and on because I'm talking about the different moving parts about this issue, right? Of course, they were worried about criminal activity in the neighborhoods. They were worried about theft. They didn't know that folks that had reputations or record from their country of assault on sexual assault and stuff. We don't know who these people are, right? So you all were effectively pushing back. And your black mayor and a lot of your black city council was trying to punish you for doing that. Well, we're all grateful to the divine, to the Most High, for this ICE investigation into y'all's mayor, because he was flaunting his authority, making policies to punish black citizens, and he was resisting and refusing to do what you asked him to do. And on top of that, was being absolutely condescending to it. Now he's showing some signs, of nervousness. Talk black to me, somebody. I want you all to get ready to watch this very brief clip. Because remember, we told you and we read you the letter that he's on investigation. Well, part of the letter, as I was referring to just a minute ago, shows that they're asking for detailed records of communications, emails, phone conversations, names of multiple different entities and individuals that he may have talked to. How many of you all know that I told you that in addition to this illegal immigration stuff and the fact that they were, is some that we believe that may have been evidence that they was trying to obstruct this investigation. How many of you all know I have made it clear that I believe that it might even be some issues coming up to where y'all going to find out there might have been some other nefarious parties and individuals involved in other things that was related to y'all's mayor. There might be some corruption. We don't know. We're not jumping to conclusion, but I'm saying because they're asking for internal communications and documents that are quite extraordinary. You don't know what else you might find in there that he was trying to hide from you, right? Well, he did a press conference recently. The press conference was just under an hour, but this video we're going to show you is very, very short. So family, he did a press conference and they're talking to him about him complying with Congress's demand for the information, but also for him to attend this hearing so that he can testify really in his own defense, right? If there's nothing to hide, why is it he wouldn't voluntarily go on to Congress, right? Y'all watch this clip.
Mayor Brandon Johnson stepping up to the podium to answer questions from reporters today, still not willing to commit to stepping up before a congressional committee next week to answer questions about Chicago's sanctuary city law.
Why not just voluntarily go and make your case to the American people before the Congress?
Well, as I've said and as our corporate counsel has indicated, there are ongoing conversations. This is not just simply about testimony. There are, if you look at the entire scope.
A week ago, the House Oversight Committee sent this letter to Mayor Johnson requesting he appear in person and testify about Chicago's welcoming city ordinance, which the committee labeled as a misguided and obstructionist policy. The committee also demanding copies of communications last month between officials and various agencies about the sanctuary law. At issue is the prohibition on law enforcement from cooperating with ICE, working to arrest and detain undocumented individuals.
They have requested a host of documents We'll be discussing with them specifically issues around what it is that they've requested of us, and we don't anticipate being obstructionists in any way.
Meanwhile, the mayor is promising to provide transparency about the so-called gift closet in his office, where presents to the city, including some high-end items, are stored. A storage room he says he's never seen.
So it's not my closet. It's a locker inventory room where gifts are received but not accepted. I don't accept these gifts. They're received.
The administration promising to release video of what's in the locker and a log of the contents.
To make it available for the public to see with a video of the space so that everyone has access to see the kind of things that are received by every mayor.
Okay, family, did you all see that? Your bro is nervous, somebody. Family, did you all see that stunned look in his face? He looks like a deer in the headlights, don't he? Family, of course, we try to keep the clips real short here and stuff, but y'all, told you that the press conference was just under an hour. Y'all, he was stuttering. He was pausing. Family, I thought the man was about to have a breakdown. How many of y'all know, I discussed that one time before where there was some reports on the ground that, you know, he was in the hospital not too long ago because some folks were speculating while he was there. Some folks said it had to do with him, you know, having a nervous breakdown. Of course, we can't confirm that situation, but we gave you the receipts at the time. That's the speculation, allegedly. But with that being said, child, he looked like he was about to have a nervous breakdown and like he was a deer in the headlights. I wish I could see the whole thing, but I think you get the point. Yes? Why is he up there stuttering? And here's the reporter did ask a decent question. And of course, this makes sense. If he doesn't have anything to hide, family, what in the world, why isn't he compliant? Why am I emphasizing this? I'm emphasizing this, family, because I want you all to know that the mayor is a lawmaker. He's a politician, right? He deals with policies, rules, and regulations on the city level. And obviously, because of his position, he necessarily has to work with who? Local, state, and federal authorities, officials, corporations, companies, and entities. But believe it or not, on the local level, a lot of your mayors have a lot to do with international stuff too. Yes, there are a lot of international players as always on the local level, and especially with such a large, big, populous city as Chicago. Yes. Now, why am I bringing that up? I'm bringing that up, family, because you don't know what information might be in those emails. Now, first of all, let's start with this. If he's a politician and he deals with laws, policies, rules, and regulations, how come he's not being an example of complying with the law? Let me hit my gavel on that. Y'all know that the Vicki Show is the home of the hand claps and the gavel raps. That means I clap my hands sometimes to make a point or when I'm excited, and I bam my gavel. I have the gavel here because the gavel is not just something that the Mayor Brandon Johnsons of the world, the judges of the world, and your other policymakers and lawmakers need to use. I want you to know that your word matters. Yes, family? Now, I'm emphasizing this point because this is a problem. He should be a shining example to all of the citizens in Chicago, throughout Illinois, of complying with government. Talk black to me, somebody. These are the very people that sit here making rules and regulations that could get you locked up. But here he is showing resistance and refusing to commit to full compliance. Now, what some of you all may not have heard, and I hope you caught the beginning of that brief news clip, they made the point that Congress may end up having to subpoena him. How many of y'all know that subpoenas means that you are mandated to turn over certain information when you don't voluntarily deal with it? Yes? So this slow walking and this stalling he's doing makes a lot of folks wonder, do you have anything to hide? And sir, we don't want you to have a heart attack and stuff while you're standing up there looking like a deer, you know, in the headlights and stuff. So family, this is the pressure that we put on him. Now, let me tell you something. I believe in this. I don't believe in a lot of what Trump doing. Y'all know I talk out against all of his diabolical policies. I talk about the international shenanigans and stuff that's going on. Y'all know, and I'm not going to stop. But when it comes down to this ICE stuff, when it comes down to this illegal immigration and the deleterious and adverse effects that it has had on the local black citizen, citizens there, yes, I'm going to discuss it. Talk black to me, somebody. So Mr. Brandon Johnson, after we got a hold of that document and we exposed it here, we saw a lot of other folks picking it up. We saw a whole lot of other folks talking about it because it was only a handful of folks that knew about it at that time. So it was a few people that had it out there. But we really pushed it home amongst the black grassroots, right? And so everybody's talking about it now. The next level of this is I'm doing a call to action. I'm asking my Chicago family and anybody else that's relevant and connected to this situation. I'm asking y'all to make sure that you show up to this. And I think that y'all need to start protesting out there with placards that said, you must comply. You must comply. You must comply. I think y'all need to put the pressure on him to tell him that you are the taxpayers there. Let him know that as a citizen, you want full transparency, not only with that little locker room of gifts that his people have been taking and putting in that little storage room and stuff, but we want full transparency with those documents. Now, I told y'all from the jump that I believe that a lot of information might come out related to just the communications that's more than just dealing with this immigration stuff. I believe y'all gonna find out a lot of information that you didn't know that was going on with those documents alone, right? How many of y'all know I'm right about that? Did you see in that press conference, he had the council for the city come up there, right? Did you see her? Notice that when she got up there, notice what she said. They've asked for a host. That's the word she used. No, she said they asked for a host of documents. Did y'all hear that part? And we're going through. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The problem is they don't have a whole lot of time to get all these details documents together. And so they're trying to decide which ones they're going to get together that doesn't make him look bad, which ones they're going to redact, which means they're going to block out or withhold certain information that might be sensitive information. And don't none of us care about nobody's social security number. We don't want to know your social security number, and we don't want to know your blood type. That makes sense. But what doesn't make sense is you withholding the specific names and relevant parts of conversation that might have to do with the mishandling, possible mishandling of the black constituency. Now, y'all know he came up with the policies and rules and regulations to punish some of you all because the Black Chicago FBA from Chi-Town, y'all were showing up in such large numbers to the political meetings, right? Y'all were there. Y'all forced them to use overflow rooms in multiple different floors. How many of y'all know he might have to reveal who all was involved in obstructing you? Remember, the Democrat part of the DNC actually considered doing a digital DNC convention because y'all were pushing back. Remember, the FBA in Chicago was threatening to disrupt the DNC because the politicians were ignoring their demands for justice as it relates to not being prioritized and not receiving tangibles and prioritizing the immigrants over you, right? Who knows what's going to come up? It might be 1,000 times worse than that. I want y'all to keep an eye on it. And shoot, if you got the money, some of y'all might need to actually show up and see what you can do to actually attend the hearing in Washington, D.C. so that you can report and get the truth yourself and give us the information before mainstream media gets their hands on it and before the mayor's office try to spin what's going on. How many of y'all know we're the ones that help to bring a lot of this stuff to the light? And to be honest, the reason why the congressional committee that's researching this ICE stuff and the fact that y'all's mayor is accused of being obstructionist, being an obstructionist and misguided in his approach to this kind of stuff. You're the ones that serve as the motivation. You're the ones that gave it energy in the first place so that they even have legs to stand on. Now, I wanted to just quickly say here that if Congress ends up having to send him a subpoena because he is not voluntarily complying with their demands, y'all gonna have to turn up even more righteously, but y'all gonna have to turn up even more, Chicago. Y'all gonna have to turn up even more. Did y'all see in that clip that we just showed you when they asked him to address the fact that the government agency that came there, they had to come undercover to try to access that locker, that closet of gifts? Notice how he kept saying over and over again, well, it's a closet of gifts because I didn't accept the gifts. I didn't accept it. That's why it's in the, and he said, first of all, it's not my closet. It's a locker. Sir, if you don't stop playing dumb, if you don't stop treating your constituents like they are idiotic and don't understand the difference, you all, why is it that when they followed the policy and the law to get there so that they could access it, because those are that belongs to the people, remember? Watch my previous broadcast. Why is it that he is not being transparent, talking about that when they asked him, well, why didn't you give access to the necessary folks when they came there? They complied with all the rules. Why were they denied by your office access to those gifts? Well, they got to have more notice than that, though. It's more complicated than that. No, it's not. It's no complication, sir. Who is he covering for, y'all? If he's saying he didn't accept the gifts, great. Why aren't you letting us see the gifts? And why aren't you letting us know who the gifts came from? Do you all understand what I'm trying to say? Do you understand are you picking up what I'm putting down? Are you understanding that if you're not covering up for someone, what is it to you if we're accessing who it is that gave you those 14 size shoes that's in that closet? How many of y'all know that they got designer handbags in that closet? How many of y'all know there's allegations of whiskey and stuff in the closet? What else is in the closet that we don't know about? See, the whiskey and the size 14 shoes and the designer handbags, that's out in the public, so we can giggle about that. Ain't no, and the watches and stuff. But y'all don't know what else is in that closet. Nobody is worried about you seeing whiskey and a Chanel handbag, if that's what it was in that closet. How many of y'all know we don't know what else is coming up through that closet? Now, we hoping that there's not any kind of, how should I put this? How can I put this? I'm trying to think of real, because keep it PG-13 around this piece. I'm hoping that there's not any other salacious gifts that might be in there, little toys and stuff that don't come from Toys R Us. Let's leave it at that, family. Don't say nothing crazy with that. I'm hoping, sir, that you're not hiding some other stuff. The same way y'all slow walking these communications and emails, ain't no telling who he's talked to. How many of y'all know? We don't know if Joe Biden's people is in those communications. We don't know if Barack Obama and them people or Barack Obama communications with them or the DNC head and stuff is in there. We don't know what's in there. We're not jumping to conclusions. We're not making any final analysis. We're saying we want transparency. And what is it to you? If there's nothing to hide, give the people give us access to this information. Those gifts don't belong to him. It belongs to the city. Now, I'm just saying, we don't want no toys and stuff that don't come from Toys R Us. We don't know what else is up in there. Why do you care if we see whiskey and 14 size shoes? That's not a big deal, is it? Maybe it's a big deal who gave it to you. And maybe it's a big deal of what else in that closet. And hopefully the items in the closet isn't like consignment, meaning it's been used and then you put it in the closet when you did what you did with the toys. Let me get to where I'm going. Give me a few more minutes, family. I'm being funny, family, but I'm just being real clear that we don't know. And we shouldn't have to be in the dark about something that don't belong to you. Can y'all please tell y'all's man that doesn't belong to him? And he admits that, but he's still not giving you access. We're not here to play those games. Talk back to me, somebody. Now, family, y'all know I have 4 or 5 books from Dr. Claude Anderson, right? And I have the high privilege of doing previous several interviews with him. And stay tuned, family. Follow me at VickiDillard.tv. That's my platform. But also, I got a bunch of other stuff going on. So go to my website at VickiPlanet.com. Join my email list over there, because that way you'll be notified when I do my next interview with him. I was supposed to do one recently. Something came up privately, which I won't, of course, reveal that, but we have to reschedule. I'm bringing that up because the great Dr. Claude Anderson, this is one of his books that you all look at all these. These are fresh ones. I done took out the old ones, put in brand new little markers. Real quick, in alignment with this immigration stuff, I'm trying to get you all to see. I'm giving you a lot of ammunition, family, because I want you to know that when we start talking about this immigration stuff, you let no one make you feel bad about bringing this up. You let no one lie to you about the history of Black people and allow them to conflate it with other people groups. You allow no one to believe that this is just how it's got to be, that we've got to give Ukrainians hundreds of billions of dollars and give them a type of SSI while you stay homeless. And we call you welfare queens if your families, black families, ask for an extra $25 to pay for the inflated milk and egg prices. But we can give them, their families, hundreds of dollars and thousands of dollars on a Visa card. Don't you let anybody make you feel bad because you're holding them to account. Now, why am I bringing up the great Dr. Claude Anderson? I like to always let people know who Dr. Claude Anderson is, to not just for you to be taken by his powerful lectures and interviews, but for you to understand the experience and who this man is. So the advice he gives us is not only advice that's good for the black community, it's advice because he's worked in the former Jimmy Carter administration. He worked for the former president of the United States. He was appointed by Jimmy Carter to work in his administration. Do y'all understand that? He worked in local and state politics in Florida. He ran multiple successful political campaigns. He had his own radio, I believe, company. He's been in court and spent thousands, tens of thousands, I believe even hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years of his own money to fight to get us a type of reparations that's connected to the Indian treaties. Did y'all know that? So the advice he gives us is not just because he has a doctorate degree. That's great. It's not just because he has university credentials. How many of y'all know that's great? It's not only because of his extraordinary experience in business and politics, but I want you to understand that because he's worked in federal and local government, he's been behind enemy lines. He knows how the game works. So when Dr. Claude tells us, get your money up so that you can buy a politician and that politics is a game, you better listen. When he makes a move, he's telling us how the White House works. Do you all understand that? I'm going to quote this and I'm going to get on off. I got a couple more minutes, okay? Y'all hit that thumbs up button, share, okay? Well, I'll pull up this page. Dr. Claude is the one that put us on game to tell us years ago, black family, that they were going to use immigrants against us. It was Dr. Claude who told us that a part of the play of keeping us disenfranchised was a prioritization of these other groups. Do you hear me? So you're not just making this up. On page 5 of his books. How many of y'all heard of his books, Powernomics? All you got to do is Google and pull it up from powernomics.com. I believe it's his website. Watch this. I still got a couple more books of his books on my website, but they almost gone. Watch this. And I'm showing off to get y'all my copy. Talk black to me. I got several of his books. So I'm keeping every one of them. Watch this. On page 5, this section is called Racism. A race without a finish line. In the first part of this book, he says this. Are y'all listening? The first part of the book, he says this. Racism is a wealth and power-based competitive relationship between blacks and non-blacks. Those are two groups he discusses, blacks and non-blacks. The sole purpose of racism is to support and ensure that the white majority and its ethnic subgroups. Did y'all listen? He said the sole purpose of racism is what? To support and ensure that the white majority and its ethnic subgroups continue to dominate and use blacks as a means to produce wealth and power. Can I hit the gavel on that? Y'all better listen. Centuries of black enslavement in Jim Crow and semi-Jim Crow resulted in the majority society becoming the 99-foot giants and black one-footed midgets. Dr. Claude know how to use adjectives, don't he? Doesn't he? Not don't he, Vicki? Doesn't he? Listen, the massive inequality in wealth and resources made blacks non-competitive and totally dependent upon who? Whites for the necessities of life. True racism exists only when one group holds a disproportionate share of wealth and power over another group, then uses those resources to do what? Marginalize, exploit, exclude, and subordinate the weaker groups. In America, it is whites who use wealth and power to marginalize, exploit, and subordinate whites. I'm skipping because I'm almost done. This is the part I want to read before I get out of here. On page 6, I'm skipping. You just get the book and read it. He makes this powerful point. He says, this nation has never enacted and supported public policies and laws that have denied non-blacks access to this nation's educational, political, social, and economic systems. Did y'all catch that? In other words, every other people group that's here, he said this country, that's the context of that statement. He says what? The other groups, they've never enacted and supported public policies and laws that have denied non-blacks access to the nation's educational, political, social, and economic systems. He said these groups have not. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. These groups have not been customarily what? Lynched, castrated, exploited, and denied the fruits of their labor. Blacks are the only group of people, y'all listen, forced to practice capitalism without capital in the richest and most capitalistic nation on earth. These facts, coupled with the majority society's total unwillingness to approve corrective action and reparations for the descendants of black slaves, reveal the true nature of racism against black people. The last part, racism and other legacies of slavery predetermine the success of Black Americans as a group. One of the most glaring examples of inherited inequalities is wealth distribution. Black America's percentage of ownership of the nation's wealth remains where it was in the 1860s on the eve of the Civil War. At the time of the writing of this book, decades ago, that statement was true at the time. One last part, I'm going to read it again. What did he say? This nation has never enacted and supported public policies and laws that have denied non-blacks access to the nation's educational, political, social, and economic system. These groups, and y'all don't you ever forget this, and this is what separates us from everybody else. And this is why we refuse to be lumped in with everybody else. These groups have not, Dr. Claude said, been customarily, not the one-offs, but he said customarily lynched, castrated, exploited, and denied the fruits of their labor. Blacks are the only group of people forced to practice capitalism without any capital. I'm going to end it right there. Isn't that powerful? We don't want to hear the story about those one or two people in other groups that might have been castrated or put in prison or something. No, he said customarily. That means as a whole and generally speaking, that's our experience. That's what separates us. Chicago, y'all stay on top of it. Y'all keep a close eye on those documents, and don't just be looking through those documents to expect to find out the pernicious activity that might have been happening with the ICE and immigration stuff. I believe you're gonna find some mess in there about that too. But if they're asking for all these communications from all these different agencies and entities, y'all don't know what you're gonna find. That may have to do with some other high-level DNC folks, or maybe some low-level important influences that you might have to know about. Talk Black to me. My name is Vicki Dillard, beloved. Don't forget to tune in tonight for Brother Phil's live at 8 p.m. Eastern. Of course, be sure to check out my other colleagues' videos and broadcasts, and family. Just look for my videos in between. Okay, some of you all keep on saying to me, Vicki, where you been? Welcome back. I miss you. Y'all play too much. I've been here a minute. It's other people that give content on this platform, so you just gotta look for me. Okay, I'm so pleased that you've joined me today, and I can't wait